A road through hills took us back to town. Jayanto and I were sitting in the back of the car. I offered him a cigarette, but he refused. I noticed a wild excitement in the movement of his hands. One moment he placed them near the window, then on his lap, and immediately afterwards began biting his nails. Jayanto was quiet by nature. This odd restlessness in him worried me. So while they were going back, they moved through hills, and he and Shankar were sitting in the back of the car. He asked him to have a cigarette, but he refused, and he noticed that there was a noticeable excitement in the movement of his hands, the way he moved his hands. One moment he used to place them near the window, and then the very next moment he placed them on his lap, and just the very next moment he again started biting his nails. This showed that he was quite nervous, he was worried, and he was having some weird thought in his mind. He was quiet by nature, and this restlessness in him worried Shankar. Shankar was quite worried about Jayanto. After about 10 minutes, I could not take it anymore. It might help if you told me about your problem, I said. Jayanto shook his head. So, after 10 minutes of noticing Jayanto in such a miserable condition, he asked him, "Let's see, please tell me about your problem." "It's no use telling you, for you're not going to believe me." Jayanto tells that I'm not going to tell you because it's useless, as you are not going to believe me. Whatever I will tell you. "Okay, even if I don't believe you, I can at least discuss the matter with you, can't I?" He says that okay, even if I don't believe you, we can discuss your problem, as it will help you to get rid of this anxiety and worriness. Fritz came into our room last night. Those little marks on my quilt were his footprints. So he says that last night, the strange incident which happened, and I told you that something walked over my chest. I am sure that Fritz was the one who walked over my chest. Fritz came into our room last night. There was very little I could do at this except catch hold of him by the shoulders and shake him. Shankar was very shocked to get such a reply from Jayanto, and he wanted to shake him in order to bring him to the reality. How could I talk sensibly to someone whose mind was obsessed with such an absurd idea? He was not able to understand what to reply, as Jayanto's mind was completely engrossed with the strange thoughts. "You didn't see anything, did you?" I said finally. So Shankar say, "But you didn't saw anything, na, when you switched on the lights?" "No, but I could distinctly feel that whatever was walking on my chest had 2 feet, not 4." He said, "No, I was not able to see anything, but I am very sure that the thing which moved over my chest was having only 2 feet, not 4, and the cat usually have 4 feet. But the thing which crossed over my chest had only 2 feet, and I am very sure that it was Fritz." As we got out of the car at the circuit house, I decided that Jayanto must be given a tonic or some such thing. A tranquilizer might not be good enough. I could not allow a 37-year-old man to be so upset by a simple memory from his childhood. So Shankar was very worried, and when they came out of the car, he thought that something has to be given to him so that Jayanto could be relaxed. Tranquilizer was not enough for him because his condition was quite miserable. He was not able to see such a grown-up man in such a messy condition. I said to Jayanto upon reaching our room, "It's nearly 12 o'clock. Should we not be thinking of having a bath?" So after coming to their room, he says that it's already 12 o'clock. We should have bath. "You go first," said Jayanto, and flung himself on the bed. Jayanto asked him to go and have the bath first, and in the meantime he went to his bed and flung on the bed. Flung on the bed means he went on the bed and started lying. An idea came to my mind in the bath. Perhaps this was the only way to bring Jayanto back to normalcy. And while he was having a bath, Shankar had some strange idea in his mind, and through this only Jayanto could be brought to a normal state. If a doll had been buried somewhere 30 years ago, and if one knew the exact spot, it might be possible to dig the ground there. No doubt most of it would have been destroyed, but it was likely that we would find just a few things, especially if they were made of metal, such as the buckle of a belt or a brass buttons on the jacket. If Jayanto could actually be shown that that was all that was left of his precious doll, he might be able to rid himself of his weird notions. Otherwise, he would have strange dreams every night and talk of Fritz walking on his chest. If this kind of thing was allowed to continue, he might go totally mad. So, the idea which he thought was that the place where the doll was buried 30 years ago should be dug off so that they can get something or the other remains of the doll, such as the metal button of the brass jacket or so on. And if that particular thing will be shown to Jayanto, then Jayanto would believe that Fritz was not in their room, as it was already dead 30 years ago, and as it was just an ordinary doll, it can't come again to their room, because he didn't want his friend to be in a messy state and get mentally upset. Jayanto seemed to like my idea at first, but after a little while he said, "Who will do digging? Where will you find a spade?" So, firstly, he liked his idea, but later on, he say, "Ki okay, your idea is fine, but who will dug the ground and where we will get the spade?" I laughed. "Since there is a garden and there is bound to be a gardener, and that would mean there's a spade. If we offered him a little tip, I have no doubt that he would have no objection to digging up a bit of the ground near the trunk of the tree at the far end of the lawn. He says that you don't worry. If there is a garden, then there must be a gardener, and if there is a gardener, then we will have a spade too. And we will give him some little tip, then he will surely agree to dig the ground." Jan- Jayanto did not accept the idea immediately, nor did I say anything further. He went and had his bath after a little bit of persuasion. At lunch, he ate nothing except a couple of chapatis with meat curry, although I knew he was quite fond of his food. Jayanto was not ready, but he was not responding anything, and neither Shankar forced him or asked anything. He went and had his bath when Shankar pressurized him to have a bath. At lunch, they were very quiet. Jayanto had a few chapatis with meat curry, although he was quite good fond of his food. With food he never compromised, but today he was not having mood to have even his food. He ate very little food that day. After lunch, we went and sat in the cane chairs on the veranda that overlooked the garden. There appeared to be no one else in the circuit house. There was something eerie about the silence that afternoon. All we could hear was the noise made by a few monkeys sitting on the gulmohar trees across the cobbled path. So, after lunch, they both were sitting on the cane chairs in the veranda, which was facing the garden, and it was quite silent. The atmosphere was completely silent except those two. No one else was to be seen in the circuit house, and only the noise of few monkeys could be heard. Around 3 p.m., we saw a man come into the garden carrying a watering can. He was old man. His hair, mustaches, and sideburns all were white. So, around 3 p.m., they saw that a man was coming inside the garden carrying a can in which there was water, and he was a quite old man. His hair, mustaches, and all his sideburn hair all were white. "Will you ask him or should I?" So, Jayanto told him that you'll ask him to dig the ground or should I? At this question from Jayanto, I raised a reassuring hand and went straight to the gardener. After I had spoken to him, he looked at me rather suspiciously. Clearly, no one had ever made such a request. "Why, Babu?" he asked. I laid a friendly hand on his shoulder and said, "Don't worry about the reason. I'll give you 5 rupees. Please do as you are told." So he went to the gardener and asked him to dig the ground, and he was very shocked because earlier no one had asked him to do so. But he asked that why you want me to dig the ground. So he says that there's no particular reason. I'll give you 5 rupees if you will do this work for me. He relented, going so far as to give me a salute accompanied by a broad grin. So after having uh, to, being told that he would be given 5 rupees, he agreed and gave him a salute with a broad smile. I beckoned to Jayanto, who was still sitting on the veranda. He rose and began walking towards me. As he came closer, I saw the pallor on his face. So he called Jayanto, who was still sitting in the veranda. He came and stood beside him, and Shankar could see that there was much tension on his face. I did hope we would find at least some part of the doll. Shankar was having that notion in his mind that after the ground would be dug, he would surely find some or the other remains of the doll. The gardener, in the meantime, had fetched a spade. The three of us made our way to the deodar tree. Jayanto pointed at the ground about a yard from the trunk of the tree and said, "Here." So Jayanto told the gardener about the place where he has to dig. "Are you sure?" I asked him. Jayanto nodded silently. "How much did you dig?" "At least 8 inches." So they ask how much has to be dug. He says that 8 inches. The gardener started digging. The man had a sense of humor. As he lifted his spade, he asked if there was hidden treasure under the ground, and if so, whether we would be prepared to share it with him. I had to laugh at this point, but Jayanto's face did not register even the slightest trace of amusement. So the gardener started digging the ground, and as he lifted the spade, he asked that if there would be some treasure inside this, then will you be sharing it with me? So Shankar wanted to laugh as he was aware that there is not any treasure inside under that place. But after seeing Jayanto's face, he noticed that Jayanto was still worried, and there was not at all uh, a blurred smile even on his face. He was quite tensionized. It was the month of October and not at all warm in Bundi, yet the collar of his shirt was soaked in sweat. He was staring at the ground unblinkingly. The gardener continued to dig. Why was there no sign of the doll? As it was the month of October, it was not very warm, but still, with the tension, the collar of Jayanto's shirt was all soaked with sweat. He was so much in tension. He was just continuously staring at the ground without blinking his eyes. The gardener also continued to dig. The raucous cry of a peacock made me turn my head for a moment, and in that instant, Jayanto made a strange sound. So, Shankar heard a cry of a peacock and he turned his head to see where it was, and in that moment, Jayanto started making a strange sound. Then Shankar turned back and looked at him. His eyes were bulging. He raised his hand and pointed at the hole in the ground with a finger that was visibly trembling. So, when Shankar looked at Jayanto, he could see that his eyes were about to come out. He was very scared, and his right hand was pointing at the ground with a finger which was continuously shaking. Then he asked in a voice turned hoarse with fear, What is that?" Then he asked, "See, what is that?" The spade slipped from the gardener's hand. I too gaped at the ground, open mouthed in horror, amazement, and disbelief. Even the spade of the gardener fell from his hand due to fear, and even the narrator, that is Shankar, also started looking at the ground, and his mouth was left open, and he was filled with horror, amazement, and shock. He was not able to believe at what he was seeing. There lay at our feet, covered in dust, lying flat on its back, a 12-inch long, pure white, perfect little human skeleton. Though in place of that doll, in place of that remains of the doll, they could see a long 12-inch pure white little human skeleton. So after seeing this, they all were surprised. So here the story ends with an incomplete and an unusual ending, and now it's up to you whether you consider this story as a ghost story or how you molded the ending. It all depends on you. So I hope you understood the story, and in my next videos I'll be sending you the notes of this question in the PDF form in your WhatsApp group. Thank you.